Okay, so the scary story that I'm about to tell has a huge trigger warning. It deals with possible possession, demons, and other very scary things. Before I jump into it, my name is Kaisa. I tell scary stories every single night, so if you want to send me your scary story, then the email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Feel free to send me your scary stories. I absolutely love them. Okay, let's dive right into it. Holly actually told me that I could tag her in the description, so that's what I'm going to do. If you guys have anything to say to her or any advice or thoughts, then drop them in the comments. She's going to be reading them. Okay, so a girl named Holly sent me her scary story, and it starts in 1997 when her stepfather and her mother met. Holly actually said that her grandparents were always very apprehensive of her stepfather. Her grandmother said that he had a very cold demeanor, despite everyone else thinking that he was a very bubbly and outspoken guy. She just felt like there was something off about him. Holly said that her and her family actually lived with her grandparents in 1997. And she said that while they were under their roof, nothing scary happened. But in 1999, Holly and her family had purchased a trailer and actually moved out of her grandparents' house. One night, after moving into the trailer, she was sleeping in her bed by herself. She actually had a cat, and in the middle of the night, the cat woke her up by jumping on her bed. She wakes up from like a slumber. She's a little sleepy, and she looks over in her doorway, and all of a sudden she sees this white apparition. She said she didn't actually know if she was dreaming or awake, but this white apparition actually looked like a woman. The woman did not scare her at all. She was dressed in like a full Victorian era style, and she said that she actually resembled her aunt a little bit, her great aunt. The only thing was is that her aunt was still alive, and this apparition obviously wasn't human, or at least anything living. So remember that I talk about this because this will actually make sense later on in the story. So she said that later after that night, she actually had a bunch of experiences. Her entire family did. But they weren't like huge, crazy experiences. They were more or less just like hearing voices every once in a while, doors opening and closing by themselves, or seeing shadow figures out of the corner of their eye. Now, most people would think that this was scary, and this is scary, but it is absolutely nothing compared to what happens to this family later on. So after 2002, Holly's little sister is born, and she said that this is when things really started to amp up. Holly's stepdad had 2 other boys from a previous marriage, and Kevin really stepped it up after her little sister was born because her dad was a truck driver, or her stepdad, and he was gone a lot, so he was constantly helping out with his little sister. One day, Kevin was on his computer playing computer games as he often would. The computer was right in front of him on a bay window. He's just minding his business, playing his computer game, when all of a sudden, he hears bang, bang, bang on the front door. Now, these knocks were so loud that he actually thought it was police officers at first, but obviously there were no police officers. Holly said that you could see the storm door from where he was sitting. The storm door to get to the main door was not open. No one was at the door. No one. Not long after this, Kevin is at work and her dad is on the road as usual. Her and her mom are sitting in the living room playing Nintendo. And all of a sudden, her little brother comes into the living room and says, "Yes, mommy?" Her mom looks at him confused and she's like, "What?" And her little brother is like, "You just called my name." And she's like, "No, I didn't." And he was like, "Yes, you did. You yelled for me." And she was like, "No, I didn't." And then Holly was like, "No, she didn't." So they kind of push this to the back of their mind because they're like, okay, and they let it go. They go back to playing Nintendo, and he goes back in his room and starts playing with a G.I. Joe. When all of a sudden, her little brother, Donovan was his name, comes running back in the room. And he's like, "Mommy, mommy, there's a man outside my window, and he wants me to come outside and play with him." Holly said that in this moment, her mom looked like she completely froze. And later on, her mom tells her that she went completely numb. Her mom slowly gets up. She goes to go into Donovan's room. And as she's walking into his room, she hears, "Donovan," in her ear. There was no man at the window. Now, when her sister is old enough to babble out some words a year or 2 later, she would wake up screaming and crying in the middle of the night, saying that there was a man with red eyes in her closet. The creepy thing about this is that she actually shared a room with her mom and dad. So she was seeing this creepy man in her mom and dad's closet. Now, fast forward to 2008, and now Kevin has moved out on his own. It's now just her, her mom, her stepdad, her little brother, and her little sister. She's 14 at this time, and one night they all decide that they're going to go to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. Afterwards, they come home and they take their dogs out to go to the bathroom. Said they were little Pomeranians. They were really nothing to be afraid of, and they would normally just go outside as usual, go to the bathroom, and then come back inside with absolutely no problem. On this particular night, her stepdad took them outside in front of the house and they bolted towards the back of the house. Now, Holly said that there was actually a creek in the back of her house, so her stepdad goes and runs after them to go pick them up. Now, it's important to note right now that her stepdad is a big dude, big stoic dude, does not scare easily, and is just kind of intimidating himself. So her and her family are sitting inside when all of a sudden her stepdad runs in and he is bawling his eyes out. He is absolutely hysterical, and he says that something appeared to him. He was standing across the creek. It was black, about 7 feet tall, and had red, glowing eyes. Sound familiar? So he's absolutely losing his ever-loving mind. But her mom seems to calm him down, and everything is okay. He is at least as okay as he can be. for the time being. And everybody is safe in the house and they all go to bed. So now the next part of the story is a Saturday. Holly is just sitting in bed alone talking to her boyfriend on the phone. And all of a sudden the storm door flies open and she hears that bang, bang, bang again that her brother had heard previously. It was loud and fast, and this was around 1 a.m. She then eventually gets off the phone with her boyfriend after he tries to convince her that this is just a figure of her imagination, when she just sees a figure pacing back and forth in front of her window. She said that she was so scared that she couldn't move, she was sweating, and she was frozen. Now, a couple more things happened. Like, her sister got a little bit older and she started seeing the red eye man too. But things are actively starting to get a little bit more intense and darker and eviler. Is that a word? I do not know. But one terrifying night, she's on the MySpace alone in her kitchen. Everyone else is sleeping. It's about 4 a.m. when all of a sudden she sees her parents' bathroom light turn on, but she doesn't hear anyone get up. And all of a sudden she sees her stepdad slowly walking out of the room in like the creepiest, slowest manner. Doesn't really think anything of it, except for how slowly he's walking is a little creepy, until he walks into the kitchen and he just stares at her. Just stares. Before she actually looked up at him, she actually asked if he needed anything while he was just standing there. But he doesn't respond, and so she looks up and she sees him just standing there and his eyes are black. She said that he stood and stared at her for a couple of seconds, felt like a couple of minutes, before he just turned around and went back to bed with her dumbfounded. This would be the beginning of her stepfather's just downfall. And it gets darker, it gets scarier, it gets like bad. But we are at 8 minutes and 42 seconds right now, so I have to stop this video and make a part 2. So if you want a part 2, then please drop that in the comments. I know the story was really long, and if you stayed till the end, I really so much appreciate it. Like, you guys are so much of the best. Like, I love you so much for all the support you have given me. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if you guys want to send me your true scary stories, they have to be true. Please email them to the link in my bio, which is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you like scary stories that are true, I tell one every single night, so hit that follow button and engage, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a spooky night.
So picture this. You're sleeping and you all of a sudden just wake up. You don't know why. You just woke up and you have this feeling like something's wrong. And you want to go back to sleep so bad, but you just can't. You really just want to go back to sleep because you're depressed at the moment. Because you just lost your best friend. And you're grieving, and your only way to cope with it is to sleep so you can forget about everything. Scary story time! Everything I just told you happened to, let's call him Julian. So Julian is up in the middle of the night, and he tries his best to go back to sleep, but he can't. And like I just told you guys, he just lost his best friend. Like, his best friend had got shot. And so at this point, he can't even go back to sleep, and he just starts thinking about him, and he just starts crying all over again. And I need y'all to stick with me here because the plot twist that happened, I didn't even expect. And so as he's sitting there crying, his phone starts ringing, and the number is from his best friend. So he answers it, but nobody's on the other side. And of course that freaked him out. And so as he's sitting there trying to figure out what's going on, his phone rings again. And again, it's his best friend's number. Julian answers the phone. And again, somebody else is on the other end, but like nobody's speaking. And at this point he's starting to get mad because he's like, yo, whoever's playing with his phone right now, it's not even funny. And at this time of night, like, that's not even funny. So he calls his best friend back, except when he tried to go call his best friend back, the call that he just received wasn't in the call log, but he still called back anyways. And his mom answered the phone at 3 a.m. And his mom is like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I just received 2 phone calls from his phone. His mom is like, that's impossible. I have the phone and I've been sleeping. You just woke me up. And at this point, he's thinking he's going crazy because he's grieving, like he's just imagining things, right? Anyway, the conversation ended. He still can't go back to sleep. And so he goes to the bathroom. He's like, let me try to take a shower. Maybe that'll make me a little sleepier. And so he takes a shower. And when he gets out the shower, lo and behold, in the mirror, it's written, I'm sorry. And at this point, he lost his shit. Because, like, he just knew that was his best friend. And he's, like, crying. He's a mess. He's in tears. He's like, yo, you have nothing to be sorry for. Like, you didn't deserve this. And as Julian sent me this story and I'm listening to it, I can hear him going through it all over again. After a good hour of crying, he finally falls asleep. Except the dream that he had wasn't really like he fell asleep. He went to sleep, but he started to dream that as he's on the bed, he opens his eyes and his best friend was standing right there at his bed. And so he's so happy to see his best friend. He was like, I knew this was all a dream. So he goes to hug his best friend, and he realized that his best friend is crying. And so he starts crying, and he's like, bro, please don't cry. Like, are you okay? Are you in pain? And his best friend says to him, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. And he's like, I know it wasn't supposed to go down like that, bro. Like, none of us expected this. And the best friend goes, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Lucy. That's what we're gonna call Julian's fiance. And so he goes, Lucy, like, what does Lucy have to do with any of this? And he woke up, but he said it felt so real. And so the next day he goes to see his fiance, and he was about to mention it to her, but something told him not to say anything to her. And he kept having the gut feeling to just go through her phone. And of course, obviously, she was heartbroken over the best friend passing away because they were all friends. They were all very good friends. And so he doesn't say anything to her, and he goes through her phone, only to find out that Lucy, his fiance, was sleeping with his best friend.
Let's read another scary story that was DM'd to me. It was nighttime and my parents were not home and not close by since we live in a small village and they went shopping in the big city. I was home alone that day with my dog and we were both chilling in the living room. Since it was winter, it became dark outside very quickly, and I have to mention that the living room is right in front of our porch and you can look outside from a big window. I was watching TV when I heard sounds coming from the porch, but I didn't bother to check because I thought it was probably just the neighbor's cat. I couldn't see anything though since our curtains covered the view outside. After a while, I started feeling a little weird and noticed that my dog was shaking and a little out of it, which only happens during fireworks or whatever. I started to feel like I was being watched and went upstairs into my room and took my dog with me. He didn't calm down, and after a while I called my mom, but she didn't pick up the phone. I genuinely freaked out but kept telling myself it was probably just an animal. After a while, I heard someone messing with the doorknob, and to be honest, I don't know what possessed me to leave my room and go downstairs again. I grabbed a glass bottle to protect myself and approached the door. I screamed that I called the police, but for some reason I didn't, and that they should go away. The doorknob kept being jerked by somebody, so I went to the window I mentioned before to look outside, and there was no one, just the doorknob moving by itself. My dog came down by now, still acting super weird. I opened the door and it stopped. I walked a little across the yard since I had no idea what was going on, thinking I'd find a reasonable explanation. Suddenly, I heard a noise of something breaking and my dog started barking at something very loudly. I turned around and saw our wooden cross, which was hanging on our porch, broken in half on the floor, and I ran inside. I was panicking like crazy, trying to calm my dog down while calling my parents. Half an hour later, they were home and I told them everything. My mom is really religious and started pacing around the house while shouting prayers. My dad was convinced that it was just someone messing with me or someone trying to break in. I still don't know what happened. I just know my dog's reaction must have meant something and everything feels so disturbing to me. This happened in the UK, by the way. This person wants to stay anonymous, but they did tell me that after the cross broke, their mom bought a new cross to replace it, and it fell down and broke the same day that their mom brought it home. And then their mom started spraying holy water all over the front porch, and since then, nothing has happened. So I guess the holy water is working. Thank goodness.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Morning from Sedona, guys. Sydney had to call the ambulance on me last night. These are my proofs. So basically what happened was we were sitting at the bar eating food just because like the restaurant was busy, so we didn't get a table, not because we were like drinking. And then we eat our appetizers, both our dinners, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm kind of tired. And then I was like, I just feel actually funny. And I just pass out on the table. I wake up, I'm like, where the heck am I? Sydney is cradling me in her arms. And then I was like awake. So they were like, all right, let's go lay you down on this booth over here. So I'm walking to go to the booth, and I thought the booth was right there. I like was really dizzy. I couldn't see straight. Then I just out again. I hit my lip on the thing, and I have a boo-boo on my knee because the bench was not there, and I just fell and ate it on the floor. This is live reenacting of me eating it. I was like, yeah, bench, right here, boom, knee to ground, face to bench. Terribly embarrassing. Ow, my knee hurts. So moral of the story is I wake up, the paramedics are there, he's asking me so many questions. I'm like, Sydney, I don't want to go to the hospital. Why are they trying to take me? And he was like, I think you should go. I look over, there's a stretcher, and I was like, no, please don't take me. I'm gonna be okay. I was like, these are my past medical conditions. You get the point. I got problems. I'll survive. Not really gonna tell you guys about that. That's personal. And then I had to sign this paper that said I was refusing to go with them to the hospital. And I said, Sydney, just take me home. And we went home and we went to bed, and that's why we just slept until 10 a.m. But like to say they're coming over, the paramedics. I'm like, Sydney, my vlog. Sydney, my vlog. I go, Sarah, enough. And I was like, but my friends. Got this. Anyways, I'm committed. I'm committed to you guys. Also, weirdest thing ever, we got there originally, maybe we were poisoned because we ordered a spinach artichoke dip, and the guy next to us was like, oh, do you want mine? He had like a bite out of it, and he was like, I'm not gonna eat it, and I already paid for it. I'm leaving. Do you want mine? And he just slid his spinach artichoke out. It's just such a strange, very niche experience. But I'm fine. Love you guys. Toodles.
Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, you won't forget. Don't eat too much, cause you gotta stay fine. But come on, bestie, it's... Yeah. Hi, bestie. I missed you. Go ahead, hurry up. Get your snack. Get your rolling equipment. It's time. First of all, there's a lot of newcomers, new followers. Hi. Welcome to the family. Also, a lot of you guys want to buy the book, and someone in the comment asked me to do a Valentine's Day sale, so yes, I'm gonna do it. So for those of you that want to try the ebook for yourself, use code LOVE, L-O-V-E, for 20% off. It's going to end right after Valentine's Day. I did a Christmas sale, I did a New Year's sale, and you guys showed out. So now we have a Valentine's Day sale. Thank you to that one person in the comment that asked me. I'm also dropping my song Valentine's Day too, okay? Okay, back to the story. For the sake of the story, let's call this person Rose. Now, Rose and her boyfriend had been together for 2 years, right? So they're out of like the honeymoon phase. Oh my God, I can't talk. So they pretty much like fight a lot, right? And so this all started over one really big fight that they had. It was to the point where they didn't speak for like a month, and within that month, he was so depressed, the boyfriend, that he took a trip with his family just to like get his head together. They visited other family, and this is where the story starts. So let's give the boyfriend a name. Let's call him Leon. So Leon is heartbroken. He's depressed. He just had a huge fight with Rose, right? They broke up. So his mom and his sister were supposed to take this small little road trip, so he decided to tag along. His mom was visiting an old friend. So they go. The road trip was pretty fun. He goes, he meets the old friend. So the friend was happy to see Leon because the last time she saw Leon was in diapers. So it was great conversations. They ended up talking about like the breakup and stuff like that. And so Leon was venting to her a little bit. And so the lady tells Leon, hey, I can help you fix your relationship. Leon is like, I'm all ears. How do I fix it? She said, don't worry. I will help you, but you have to do everything I say exactly as I say it. Leon is like, okay, great. But she doesn't say anything else. Like for the rest of the trip, she doesn't say anything about it up until that Leon is about to leave. So as Leon is about to leave out the door, she comes in with this little container. And in the container, there's like 3 little puff pastries. And Leon was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Auntie. Thank you for this. And, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm glad I got to know you. And so she goes, no, that's not for you. Leon is like, who is it for? Is it for Mom? She's like, no, it's for your girlfriend. And at first, Leon is like, huh? Okay, thank you. I will give it to her. And then she says to him, this is how you're going to fix your relationship. So he's like with puff pastries? She's like, yes. She says, give these to her and make sure she eats it warm. However, do not warm it in the microwave or the oven or nothing. Leave it in the sun for exactly 30 minutes so that it gets warm. Then give it to her. And as she's eating it, make sure you remind her how much you love her. Do exactly as I say, and your relationship will be just fine. Andrew, at that point, his mom and his sister was already in the car, so this is just a conversation between them. So he's like, okay, thanks, Auntie. They say their goodbyes, and Auntie reminded him, if you're gonna do this, do exactly as I say. If you're not gonna do it exactly how I tell you, don't do it at all. Leon is like, I heard you, auntie, I heard you. So boom, they head back home. And really, Leon is not really thinking about doing it for real. But on his way home, he looks at Rose's story and Rose is outside. For some reason, that pisses him off. And he's like, you know what? I am gonna do it. So he gets home, he puts the damn bowl in the sun for 30 minutes like he was told. It got warm and he immediately went to her. Said, hey, I'm back from my trip. I missed you so much. I'm sorry. I don't care that we're fighting. Like, I brought you this. And she's like, aw, thank you so much, Leon. You're the best ever in the world. Duh. She takes the pastries. You know, she's just a girl. It's pastries. She starts eating it. And Leon is like, you know, I love you, right? Like, I don't want to lose you. I want our relationship to work, as she's eating it. Just like he was told. Cool. That happened. She eats it. And Leon is like looking at her like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But nothing happens. Nothing happens. She eats it. They hang out. They go to sleep. Everything's fine. So next morning, they wake up to their door being banged on. Like somebody's banging on the door. So they both get up like, who is this? Like, who's banging on the door like that? Only to realize that it's Rose's mom. So they open the door. Rose's mom walks inside, goes straight to Leon, and says to Leon, you gotta pack your shit and get out. Leon is looking really confused like, what? So is Rose. Rose is like, what? Get out. Wait, mom, what happened? Rose's mom looks at her like, do you know this man tried to do voodoo on you? Rose is like, what? Leon, voodoo? Mom, come on, like, what? And then she looks at Leon, and Leon looked guilty. Guilty. So her face drops. Her face is like, excuse me? Like, why do you look like you're guilty? And so immediately, Rose's mom puts her purse down, takes out her anointing oil, started to anoint Rose, and starts anointing the apartment while yelling at him to get out.
One of the scariest stories I ever heard. So when Grandma was little, she grew up in a house that was right across the road from this really old graveyard. Grandma's mother was feared by everyone because she messed with some really dark stuff, and she was always out in that graveyard talking to the dead. When Grandma was 10 years old, she was playing in the graveyard while her mama was talking to the oldest grave. Grandma started playing hopscotch over some of the graves, and that was when her mom came running over, snatched her up, and said, don't you ever step on another grave. Grandma said, why? It's not like they care. They're dead. Her mom says, I talked to them. I know how they feel. And Grandma thought she was joking, so she starts laughing, and then her mom says, don't ever do that again. You never know whose grave you're stepping on. It might be someone you can't get rid of. And stay away from the oldest grave. I don't want anyone going over there messing with it. So her mama goes back home to make supper, and Grandma stays in the graveyard and keeps playing. Grandma said, I don't know why I did it, but I sought out the oldest grave, and then I intentionally stepped on it. So Grandma slowly inches her foot across the grave, and then she steps on it with both feet. Well, then she starts playing and jumping around and jumping over those headstones too. She just thought what her mama said was really silly because these people are dead. Well, while she was playing, she jumped on this one old grave and her foot went through the dirt into this big hole. Like the hole went up to her knee. It was deep. Well, that scared her because holy crap, there's a dead body down there, so she jerked her foot out of the hole. She kicked some dirt and rocks down the hole, and then she hears her mom calling her name, so she runs back towards the house. Now, she wasn't about to tell her mama what she just did because she knew she'd get her ass whooped, so she pretends like nothing happened. They eat supper, they wash, and they go to bed. Later on that night, Grandma said she woke up and had to pee really bad, like she couldn't hold it. But unfortunately, their bathroom was outside. They had an outhouse. But while she was in there, she started hearing what sounded like stomping or someone running around the outhouse. She stood up. She heard her mama's voice call out, Gladys, come here, come here, come here. So she opens the outhouse door expecting to see her mother, but nobody's there. She's walking back to the house, and when she passed the old oak tree, that was when she saw a tall, lanky figure standing in between her and the cemetery. She looks closer and realizes that's her mama standing there, but she's facing the opposite direction, so she can only see the back of her mama's head and dress. She says, Mama, what are you doing? And her mama didn't respond, but with every step she took, her mom took a step backwards towards her. So she gets scared and runs towards the house to get her father, and when she looks back, she sees her mom running backwards chasing her. She said its head dropped, and it fell backwards like on all fours, and it chased her all the way up to the porch until she got inside. She runs into her parents' room where she finds her dad asleep, but her mom is sitting on the edge of the bed reading a Bible with her shoes on and they're muddy. The next day, Grandma decides she's going to go back to that graveyard and apologize to every single spirit that she disrespected by jumping on their graves. So she goes over to the cemetery and walks up to that grave, and that's when she sees it. That hole is a lot bigger now, and it looks like someone has been crawling in and out of it. She gets on her knees to take a closer look, and that's where she sees the rotten casket and a decaying body inside. What was weird, the body didn't look that old for it to be the oldest grave. leave, and it looked a lot like someone she knew who was missing. The body looked just like the woman her dad was having an affair with before she disappeared 3 months ago, and she looked like she'd been tortured to death. So she jumps back, and she starts hearing whispering coming from within the hole, and it's saying, come here, come closer, come here. She takes off running, but before she can get out the cemetery, she feels a strong presence weighing down on her back like it's trying to stop her, and it feels angry, but she makes it home. She goes to her father and tells him what she just saw, but he stops her in her tracks and says, hush. I don't want to lose you too. Don't talk about this ever again. But late that night, she's laying in bed, and when she looks at the window, she sees her father's dead mistress staring back at her, and when it disappears, her mama walks into her room. It feels like this spirit is reaching out to her for help, but she knows that her mama was the one who unalived her father's mistress, and if she's not careful, she'll be next. So now she's seeing this spirit everywhere she goes. It won't leave her alone, and it wants her to tell someone about what her mom did, but she knows she can't. She was afraid because she knew that her mom was very unstable, but her mom was the only other person who had dealt with spirits like this, so she had to tell her. So she goes to her mother, and her mother stops her in her tracks. She said, what did you do? What's going on around here? And Grandma says, I jumped on those graves even after you told me not to, and one fell in. She said, Mama, she stares in my window every night, wanting me to help her. She won't leave me alone. She wants me to tell on you, but I swear I haven't. Her mama grabbed both sides of her face and said, how dare you disobey me? I told you not to do that, girl. Now go get the Bible in the belt. She put her head down and said, yes, ma'am, and she went and got the Bible in the belt because she just knew she was getting her ass tore up, but her mom had other plans. So her mom grabs the Bible, the belt, and her brother, and they all go over to the cemetery. Then her mom hands her the Bible and says, get in the hole. And Grandma says, what? Why? Her mama gets that close to her face and says, well, since you want to run to your daddy and try to help her so much, you can stay with her. Get in the damn hole. Her mama gives her a match with the box and says, here, in case you get scared of the dark, but just know if you strike it, I'll blow it out. And Grandma thought, huh? She said, Mama, please don't make me go in that hole. I'm begging you. Her mama said, get the Bible and get in that hole now, or I'll bury you in it myself for good. And her mother handed the belt to her brother and said, if she comes out of that hole, you beat her until she crawls back in. I don't want to see her face until the sun comes up. With tears rolling down her face, Grandma took the Bible and climbed down in the hole with that woman's body. So after she climbs into that casket, she starts feeling dirt fall down on her because they're closing the hole up to make sure she can't get out. So while laying in the pitch black dark, Grandma starts hearing rustling noises inside of that casket, so she grabs a match and strikes it to see where that sound is coming from. It lit up the casket, and when she looked down at her feet, she saw her mom's face peeking over at her with black eyes and a big grin going, mm-mm-mm. The match went out, she passed out from fear, and she didn't wake back up until the next morning when she heard her brother shoveling dirt out of the hole to let her out. Grandma said she didn't know if her whole family was mentally ill or if this was some kind of supernatural event, but either way, she learned her lesson and she never stepped on another grave. If y'all want to hear more stories about my crazy-ass great-great-grandmother, let me know in the comments.
Imagine if the punishment for murder wasn't executions, but instead the person was just simply turned into a tree. For any and all types of crimes, criminals are now turned slowly into trees as a way to make the world a more healthy, greener place. Because of this new form of justice, they have no need for prisons or rehabs. You just go straight to being planted. There's not much of a judicial system where that you get to plead your case either. You can be wrongfully convicted and still be planted. So you're all fine living in this world and supporting this until one day you find out that your wife has committed a crime and she's scheduled to be planted. You're now forced to go and visit your wife, who remains rooted in the ground. She's growing bark on her skin and she's growing branches from her arms. You're watching her slowly vegetize, which is this slow transformation where the victims can still speak, but they become increasingly detached to where they're losing all their memories, they're losing all of their humanness. At one point, your wife begs you to stop visiting her because it's only going to get worse. You're going to see less and less of her as she's slowly transformed into a cherry blossom tree. What kind of tree or plant you're transformed into depends on the individual themselves. So this one's a short film called Standing Woman. It's that dystopian vibe, kind of has the same feel of The Disappearance of Willie Bingham, where it's exploring the different forms of justice for these criminals. And yeah, this one is pretty good, a little scary.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Here is something that freaks me out as a nurse when I'm traveling. We just got home late last night, flying home from Hawaii. And here's one thing that will never not make me nervous. The dreaded overhead announcement, do we have a medical professional on board? You might think, well, you're an ER nurse. This is kind of like your bread and butter. This is where you're wrong. As an ER nurse, I love chaos, controlled chaos. Out in the wild where I don't have my people, my resources, that's scary. I don't know if you guys watched that video, that bank worker did CPR on a man that collapsed in front of her, and then the family sued for breaking his ribs. Now I'm afraid in public at all of trying to intervene. This hasn't happened to me in a very, very long time. And the couple times that I have been involved, it was usually like an elderly person with low blood sugar who only needed like orange juice or something to perk him right up. On the flight home last night, it was me and my husband and my 2 kids, and my mother-in-law was on the flight with us, but she wasn't in our row. We were barely keeping it together, 1 adult to 1 child. We flew Hawaiian Airlines. They give you like this rum punch that has rum in it. And it's not like you're intoxicated by any means. But then it got me wondering, like, what about the legal side of things? Like if I had had 1 or 2 of those little rum drinks and then I jumped in to assist in a medical emergency and something, God forbid, went wrong, could I be held liable because I had consumed alcohol? And obviously, I'm going to jump in and help if they need it, but you can understand the stress.